Do you ever feel like a small fish in a big sea? Imagine being a small fish in a huge ocean. So many things are out of your control, right? You've got these currents, you know, massive different currents trying to send you this way and that way, and got all the dangerous creatures in the sea, huge fish, sharks, eels, weird creatures. And you're just a small little fish and you're just trying to survive. You know, you just kind of want to be left alone, but the things that those bigger things do affects your life, right? And you can't control it. You just feel like such a small little fish in a big sea. Well, that's often how I feel when I read the news. Every day I check the news and there's all these different conflicts going on in the world, right? And I feel like I can't do anything about it. I can't control them, you know. It's not really my fault. It's not really your fault, is it? We're just small fish. We're nobodies. We're just average people, right? I'm an average person. Are you an average person? So we can't really control what happens in the world, right? It's the powers that be who control everything, right? Do you know what powers that be mean? Have you ever heard that before? There's some kids playing right over here. I'll give you a nice shot of the canal while I walk past these kids. Powers that be. What does that mean? What does that idiom mean? Well, the powers that be refer to the people or groups of people or organizations kind of that are unknown, that are at the top, who are controlling everything, and it affects normal people's lives, but we can't really do anything about it, and we don't really know who those people are. So you can use that phrase. It's a fairly common phrase. The powers that be, right? The unknown people at the top. The shadowy figures that lurk behind the scenes, right? So shadowy figures means it's kind of like you don't know who they are. They're there, but you don't know who they are, right? So imagine being in middle management. You know what that means? Middle management. If you're in a company and you are kind of a manager, just a middle manager, you're not the top manager, you're just kind of a middle manager, right? And you get instructions one day that you have to lay off 50% of the employees in the company. A layoff means you lose your job, you get fired, right? The company says, sorry, we can't pay you anymore, you're gone, right? So imagine being a middle manager and you tell your employees, sorry, your job is gone, clean out your desk, you're out of here. And the employee says, wait, what's going on? I'm a hard worker, I've done everything right, why am I getting laid off? And you can say, well, I don't know. It's the powers that be. It's the powers that be. You know, you don't even know probably who the high ups in the company are, right? I mean, if you work, let's say, if you're a manager at some company like McDonald's or, you know, whatever company you want to choose, do you even know who the leader of the company is? Do you know who the CEO is? Do you know who's making the decisions at the top? You don't know anything about that, right? Guys, a bit windy out here. Hopefully you can hear me. A nice bright day here in Alberta. All right, so the powers that be often make these decisions behind closed doors. If someone makes a decision behind closed doors, it means it's kind of like a secret meeting of these people. The powers that be, they meet behind closed doors and they make decisions that affect our lives, but we don't even really know who they are, and we can't really control anything, right? That's often how I feel when I read the news about all these conflicts. There's so much in our world that goes on behind closed doors. All these top people in the countries, shadowy figures, or companies. Like there's a company I've heard of called BlackRock, some organization called BlackRock. They're kind of in this group. They control a lot of things that happen in the world, but who are they? What do they do? Is it a company that makes something? You know, everybody knows what that dog wants to get in on the video. Sorry, dog. So let's say McDonald's, for example. You know what they do. They make hamburgers, right? Guys, I'm being followed. Maybe it's a BlackRock executive trying to figure out what I'm talking about. I'll pick up my pace. Let me know if he's gaining on me. To gain on someone means you're getting closer behind them. So hopefully he's not gaining on me. So McDonald's makes hamburgers. You know that, right? Toyota makes vehicles. What does BlackRock do? They're a super rich organization. What do they do? It's kind of a secretive, there's secret stuff, right? And you don't really know what's going on. You know, so when you're talking about people who have control and you don't really know who they are, you can use the phrase powers that be. It's the powers that be, right? Like if something happens in your country that affects your life and you don't really know why it's happening, you don't know whose fault it is, you can say, oh, it's just the powers that be, you know. Maybe your company changes some policy, some decision, you know, and you don't know why it is or who decided that. You can say, well, it's the powers that be. They don't really care about us low people, right? If you're just kind of on the lower rungs of the ladder, the upper people don't really care about you, right? So you can call them the powers that be. They control everything, but you don't know who they are. Okay, so very often I feel like stuff is going on in this world that is very secretive. It's hard for normal people to figure out because we don't know what's in people's heart. The powers that be, I mean, usually we know that these people are evil, right? They don't have our best interest in mind. They want to control everything. They want money. They want power. They want your taxes. They want your body. Maybe they want your organs. They want, you know, they just want to have dominion over you. Dominion means kind of authority. They want to have authority over you, and you don't really know who they are. And very often these people, they like to stay in the shadows, right? If you stay in the shadows, right, there's a shadow right there. Look at that. Now I'm in the shadow, see? And if I stand up, you can see the sun on my face. I'm not in the shadow anymore. So if you're in the shadow or in the shadows, that kind of means you want to stay kind of a mystery. You want to kind of be a bit mysterious, and you don't want people really to know much about you. So I think there are people in this world who are kind of these shadowy figures, the powers that be, who are controlling a lot of what's going on, and we don't really have access to that information. We don't know what they're going to do next, right? So we're left out of the loop, right? If you're out of the loop, it means you don't really know you don't really know what's going on. If you're in the loop, that means you know what's going on, right? And so these people don't tell us what they're going to do. Governments don't really tell us. And I think I've made a video about this before, the term deep state. Have you ever heard that term, deep state? It kind of refers to the powers that be in a country or in the world that are controlling things that people don't really even know are there. Like, you know, we're supposed to be a democracy, right? Like Canada, for example. Canada is, well, we have elections and we elect leaders. Now, theoretically, the leader that we elect is supposed to be the one calling the shots, right? So the term calling the shots means they make the decisions. Okay, so in Canada, our prime minister is supposed to be the one calling the shots. Is he really? Or are there people behind the scenes, kind of the deep state, who are maybe even rigging the elections and getting that person elected, right? Like in the US, Joe Biden is the president, right? And he's supposed to be the one who's calling the shots. But he can't even talk properly. He can't even walk properly. He's getting very, very old. And that's kind of part of getting old, is you kind of, maybe you can't really think right. Maybe you're starting to lose your mind, right? And so, is he really calling the shots? Or are there other powers that be behind the scenes who are running the show? Running the show means managing everything, right? So let me know, what's your opinion on this? The powers that be, do you think they have your best interest in mind? Do they really care about you? Or are they just kind of in it for themselves? In it for themselves means that they do things to make their own lives better. They don't care about you. They're greedy, right? They're in it for themselves. What do you think? You know, because these leaders, very often in our countries like Canada or the US, the leader of the country is called a public servant, right? So anyone who works for the government is called a public servant. That means they are supposed to serve the public, average people like you and me. But are they doing that, or are they in it for themselves? See you guys, I see a bunch of fish here. Let's go check out these fish. Come here, little fish. I don't know if you can see them in my GoPro. They're there. Look at all this junk here on the shore. So guys, you know, that's a very common idiom in English. You will hear it, people talking about the powers that be. You know, if your coworker asks you, hey, why did why did our lunch break get shortened from 1 hour to 45 minutes? How did that happen? Who made that decision? You can say, beats me. Means you don't know. It beats me. It's the powers that be. It's the powers that be. They decided, someone at the top decided to cut your lunchtime by 1 hour down to 45 minutes. Well, how did that happen? Did your manager make that decision? And probably not, because they're the middle management, right? They're not the top. They don't control the company, right? And so very often people don't even know who the powers that be are. Do you know in your company who the top people are, who make all the decisions? Like I said, I mean, if you work for any company, like, I mean, for example, I own a Toyota. Do I know who the top decision makers are in Toyota? I have no idea. Now, if I were to work for Toyota, would I know? Probably not. I'd just be an average grunt worker, right? A grunt worker is a worker who is just the bottom level, just an average Joe. Average Joe just means an average person. Are you a grunt worker? It's nice to be a grunt worker sometimes. You don't have to worry about anything. Powers that be, yeah, they'll be greedy, they'll take all the money. As long as you make your few dollars an hour, you know, as long as you can buy some tacos, eat your tacos every night, you're okay, right? You won't complain. You'll just kind of be quiet, keep your lips zipped. If you keep your mouth zipped, that means you just stay silent. You don't talk much. And what
the heck?
There's a kid behind me, guys. Look at this. See that grate over this what is this, like a big pipe thing here? You can call this metal thing a grate. Okay, I don't know, guess it's to stop people from swimming in there, or giant fish. So guys, sometimes I feel like a small fish in a big sea. How about you? And I don't even know who the powers that be are. Sometimes the stuff that you see on the news doesn't actually make any sense. When we think about the world and these different conflicts, you're starting to wonder, like, who's really behind the scenes? Who's calling the shots? Who are the powers that be in this situation? Because it's not making sense, but you know, it's probably, there's money changing hands under the table, right? If money changes hands under the table, that means secret deals are being made. Secret. That girl just fell into the that girl just fell into the canal. now she's soaked. Her clothes are soaked. She's okay. So guys, sometimes I don't know who these powers that be are, but I know money is changing hands under the table. One of my favorite movies that I haven't seen for a long time actually is called Lord of War with Nicolas Cage. It's a great movie. It's exactly this topic. It's about the powers that be, secret deals being made. I love the ending of that movie. That's a good movie anyway. If you get a chance to watch it, have you ever watched it? Let me know down in the comments if you've seen it. Maybe I'll go watch it tonight. That'd be fun. I'll go have a movie night tonight. So the powers that be, who are they? What do they want? What's your opinion on that? So anyway, guys, I just wanted to teach you that idiom because it's common. I hear this all the time when I'm listening to YouTubers and, you know, listening to people talk about the news, talk about current events in the world. I often hear that idiom, powers that be. So now you know, if you're watching some YouTube video and they say the powers that be, you know exactly what they're talking about, right? So many people out here, guys. It's a nice evening though, that's why. Look at those beautiful clouds. Anyway, guys, thanks for hanging out with me today. And as always, I love you so much. Hope you guys are staying safe and happy, and hope the powers that be aren't tormenting you today. Tormenting means they're just making your life miserable. They're hurting you in some way, and that's the problem, is that these powers that be, they make decisions. It hurts normal people's lives, and sometimes we don't even know what's really going on. So that's the frustrating aspect about this current age that we're living in. Good news though is this current age is coming to an end, and the next age will be much better. So guys, stay strong. Keep plugging away at life. Plugging away means just keep trying hard, you know. Keep putting one step in front of the other. Things will get better, and hope you're doing great today. So guys, as always, I love you so much, and I'll see you over in the next episode of Mad English TV. Take care.